So Jorge Ramos of Fusion TV and Bill O'Reilly sat down for an interview and a debate, and they got into immigration and white privilege and many, many different issues. But I want to show you their back and forth on religion. So this is really interesting, and I take a lot away from it. Let's watch.
As an Irish Catholic, you said that the idea of writing Killing Jesus came from the Holy Spirit.
Right.
Really?
Yeah. You're Catholic, right?
No, I was born Catholic. I'm not a Catholic.
All right.
But it is very dangerous to mix politics and religion.
No, I'm not mixing politics. I'm an ordinary citizen. I wrote a book.
No, you're not ordinary citizen because you're suggesting that
I'm an American citizen.
That God
Jorge,
talked to you somehow.
You were born Catholic, correct?
Yes.
All right. In the Catholic and Christian religion, there's God, right?
Yeah.
And where do we get our talents from? Where do we get our inspiration from?
Yeah, but to say that...
No, wait. Where do we get it from? Are you a Christian now?
No, I'm not a Christian.
Or you're nothing?
No.
Okay, but you understand the Christian theology.
Of course.
All right, I believe in that. Is that okay?
Of course, that's
okay.
That's your own belief.
All right, so I believe in it. I believe that there's a God, an active God, who inspires. So when I was asked where I got the idea for Killing Jesus, I said, I think I was inspired to write it by the Holy Spirit. You object to that? You object to me stating my religious beliefs as an American?
That's your belief, but if you're suggesting that God talks to you, and then you constantly, every single day, give your political opinion, it's...
Jorge, you're kind of drawing this real crazy arc here. Look, I believe I'm inspired because I believe I'm in the Christian theology. You don't believe it. But why do you object for me saying it? Why can't I say what I believe?
No, you can say whatever you want. Thanks so much for talking to us.
It's a pleasure.
And to allowing us here in the No Spin Zone.
It's a pleasure. I like him.
Yeah, you like him because you just ran fucking circles around him. Now, understand something. I love Jorge Ramos, man. I mean, he is what a journalist should be. He asks great questions in interviews, but he is what he is. He's a journalist. He's not a political commentator. He's not an entertainer. Okay? He's not a debater. And it was clear from what we just saw there. This is why O'Reilly is a fascinating character. He's wrong about pretty much everything, but goddamn does he know how to argue effectively. So, notice what he did there. O'Reilly did a bait and switch. He changed the conversation from, is it true that, like you said in the previous interview, God spoke to you and told you to write a book about Jesus? Is that true? He changed the conversation to, am I allowed to believe it and bring it up? See, because when that's the conversation, am I allowed to make the point, hey, I'm just saying what I believe. Are you telling me I can't believe something? Are you the thought police? You must be a fascist. He changed the conversation to that. Because, of course, then the answer is, sure, you have the right to believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. You have the right to say whatever the fuck you want to say. But that's not the conversation we're supposed to be having. The conversation at hand is it true that God spoke to you, Bill O'Reilly, and told you to write a fucking book about him? And the answer is, fuck no. And again, I love Jorge Ramos. He really is such a great guy. I've yet to see anything where I disagree with him on, okay? But here he got destroyed because this is what Bill O'Reilly does. He's a debater, he's a commentator, he's an entertainer, you know, and that's Jorge Ramos is a journalist. He's respectable. He's not Bill O'Reilly. So, here's how you handle that conversation. Every time Bill O'Reilly tries to change the debate, as he did the entire time, you say, no, of course you're allowed to believe it, but did it happen? Is that factual? Is it true that God spoke to you? And if you say God did speak to you, well, then how is that any different from a Muslim saying, Allah spoke to me and told me I must do this? How is it any different from people who believe in Scientology? I mean, stop and think about that, man. If a Scientologist or a Mormon came on O'Reilly's show and said, Bill, I'm just letting you know, God spoke to me and told me we all have to vote Democrat. We have to do anything because this is what God told me. God told me to do this, so I'm telling you this is what we have to do. God spoke to me. Are you questioning that? What would Bill O'Reilly say? He'd laugh. He'd laugh. He laughed the guy out of the conversation. He's like, right. Anyway, next topic. But when Bill O'Reilly says it, now it's, oh, how dare you challenge me? Don't you challenge me. This is my religion. Are you anti-religion? Do you want to ban my faith? No. The question is, did God actually speak to you? The answer is, fuck no. There's no evidence of it. There's no evidence a God exists. Never mind the God of a particular religion. Never mind the fact that a God would care more about telling Bill O'Reilly to write a book than, I don't know, the situation in Syria where over 100,000 people died in a civil war. Fucking tsunamis, drought, famine, the fact that most of the world is living in incredible poverty. Any of the plethora of problems we face, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, you name it. So, but Bill O'Reilly, he would have to argue, no, God spoke to me and really cares about my book over all those other things. Or you're a charlatan and a moron and you're making shit up. That's how I would have handled the debate.